Your players think they control the story, but the truth is the clock does. Time is the invisible engine of every campaign, and when you ignore it, the world freezes in stasis, waiting politely for the heroes to arrive. But when you track time, suddenly everything changes. Who reaches the dungeon first? Who's resting in town while someone else takes the prize? Who comes back to find their choices have reshaped the land? Time doesn't care about fairness. It keeps moving, and the groups who adapt to its march will survive, while those who don't get left behind. Hi, I'm Bruce, and if you like these discussion videos on RPG topics, make sure to hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Time makes your campaign world feel alive. Without it, the game becomes a stage play where monsters and villains wait obediently for their cue, frozen until the players arrive. That kind of world might be convenient, but it's lifeless. Real tension comes when the world doesn't wait. Events unfold with or without the party's presence, forcing hard decisions about how to spend their days. When you track time, the dungeon stops being a static box of treasure and traps. Instead, it becomes a contested space. Monsters move, rival factions fight. Goblins may abandon a lair after heavy losses, leaving only corpses and carrion to greet the next visitors. By the time the PCs get there, someone else might have already looted the vault, or their broken bodies might be sprawled across the passageways, grim reminders of the dangers ahead. Adventurers aren't the only bold souls in the world. Other treasure seekers, mercenaries, or cults are competing against them, and time is the referee. It determines who arrives first, who falls behind, and who inherits the aftermath. By making time the world's pulse, you transform every decision, resting, traveling, or risking another delve, into a gamble with real consequences. In a living campaign, time dictates who gets there first. When two groups of adventurers, or even rival NPC factions, set their sights on the same dungeon, the difference of a single day can decide everything. Party A might limp back to town to rest, patch wounds, or resupply, while Party B pushes forward at half strength. The risk pays off. They reach the dungeon first and claim the treasure. By the time Party A arrives, they find empty chambers and cold campfires, the echoes of another group's victory. But the opposite can also be true. Party B's haste might lead them into traps they weren't ready for. Their bodies, broken and forgotten, become part of the dungeon's hazards. When Party A finally returns, they inherit not just the treasure, but the grim evidence of what rushing ahead can cost. Time tracking turns every choice, heal now or press on, into a gamble that shapes the unfolding story. Downtime is where the weight of time truly bears down on our character. A hero struck with a crippling injury or wasting disease might need weeks to recover. A curse may demand long rituals before it's lifted. Do you tell that player to roll up a new character until their main one heals? Or do they sit on the sidelines watching others take risks in their absence? Neither answer is easy, and that's the point. Downtime enforces consequence. It forces players to weigh risk against reality. Charging into battle without care doesn't just mean hit point loss. It could sideline their beloved character for weeks of game time. And while they rest, the world doesn't. Rivals advance. Factions plot. New PCs get rolled up and the wheel of time grinds forward with or without them. Time doesn't just determine who gets there first. It determines what they leave behind for the next group. When you track time, the campaign naturally starts weaving the actions of one party into the story of another, or multiple, if you run games the way Gary Gygax did. This creates a sense of continuity, as if the world exists beyond any single character's perspective. Imagine a party forced to retreat across a river, cutting the ropes of the bridge to delay pursuit. Weeks later, another group, completely different characters, arrives at the same riverbank, only to find the ruined bridge. They now face a dangerous ford, a detour through hostile territory, or the need to rebuild what others destroyed. Or picture a desperate adventuring party cornered by a pursuing monster. In their panic, they set fire to the lower halls of the dungeon, buying enough time to escape. Months later, another band of heroes ventures into the same ruins and discovers scorched chambers, collapsed passages, and the twisted remains of creatures who never made it out. The dungeon is changed, scarred by past choices. Sometimes the consequences are even more insidious. A party might accidentally release a sealed horror, an undead legion, a magical plague, or even just a nest of giant vermin. They escape with their lives, but they don't stick around to deal with the aftermath. Weeks later, another group ventures into the same region, only to find villages abandoned, roads crawling with predators, or desperate survivors begging for aid. The previous player's story becomes the backdrop of a new one. This is the ripple effect in action. Players feel it in their bones. Their choices matter, and not just for them. Time also ensures that disaster doesn't wait for heroes to show up. If the world is moving, calamities advance on their own schedule, building tension whether the players notice or not. A besieged city doesn't halt its doom until adventurers decide to intervene. Every week, the enemy builds more siege engines, stockpiles ammunition, and tightens the noose. If the players arrive quickly, they may strike the war camps before the city walls fall. If they delay, they might instead find smoldering ruins and a new power entrenched in the region. Plagues offer another perfect example. A strange disease breaks out in a port town. Each week of delay means new villages infected, more graves filled, and fewer survivors to save. By the time the heroes investigate, the crisis might have already spread beyond hope of containment. Even the heavens can turn against them. A comet streaks across the night sky, foretold to crash into the sea in 40 days. Each day the clock ticks closer. Do the adventurers dare waste time chasing treasure while doom gathers on the horizon? The point is simple. The world doesn't pause for convenience. When the DM tracks time, every decision gains weight. The disaster will unfold with or without the heroes, and they must decide whether they want to arrive in time to change it or to live in the ashes left behind. You don't need to drown in paperwork to keep time meaningful. A simple calendar, campaign journal, or downtime tracker is enough. One of the easiest methods is letting real time equal game time. If the group played Sunday and you don't meet again until Friday, then 5 days of downtime have passed. Healing wounds, recovering from curses, or crafting gear eats that time automatically. If one character is still laid up, the player can roll up a new one to keep playing. To add in predictability, layer in random events, disaster tables, wandering factions, or seasonal changes. Maybe a rival party strikes while your group is out, or maybe a faction moves its forces. The important thing is consistency, lightweight, clear, and relentless. Time is the harshest dungeon master. It doesn't pause, it doesn't bargain, it doesn't care about fairness. It only moves forward. That's what makes it powerful. When you let the clock run, your world stops being a stage and becomes a living, breathing place. So try it in your own campaign. See how different the world feels when the clock never stops. And if you found this useful, hit like, drop a comment with your own time tracking stories, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden mechanics of running unforgettable campaigns.